Hi everyone, I'm Michelle Kelly. Welcome to Be in the Change. I'm going to get started by reciting my inspiration. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, which most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people will not feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Marianne Williamson. I'd like to say welcome to everybody who's watching me for the first time, and thank you. Welcome back to everybody who's been following me on this journey when I started in 2019, stating out loud that I was breaking up with fear, I was breaking up with shame, and I was breaking up with guilt, followed by a weekly video every week for an entire year. And I'm into year 3. You guys, maybe I'm 3.5. I think I'm 3.5, getting close to 3.5. I'm so bad at remembering years and times. 2020 was to be kinder and more compassionate to myself and others, which I'm still working on too. And then 2021 was to break up with processed sugar. And 2022, which is this year, is to attach an income to what it is that I do. And so all of this stuff, it's a lot of stuff. I can't even believe I told people I was doing this because now I actually have to do it. Last week I was on here with baby Michelle, my little girl, and I was really depressed and having a hard week last week because my leg was burning and I didn't feel good. But it is amazing how much a difference a day can make, or an hour, or a second. You just never know when your life can change. And hanging on to hope, which stands for hold on, pain ends. And so hanging on to the hope that tomorrow's going to be a better day, or today's going to be a better afternoon, or whatever. But I feel so much better today. And I felt better. I think starting last Saturday, I started to feel a lot better. So I turned the corner on Friday, and by Saturday, I felt so much better. So it is just learning to take care of myself during these times and not shame myself for not feeling better, not doing more, and just feeling like whatever I do is enough and more than enough. So the fact that I'm able to show up every week and commit to anything is huge for me. I grew up in a place where I never wanted to commit to anything in case something better came along. It was really hard for me to make commitments, but I wanted you to make a commitment and I wanted you to follow through with it, but I didn't want to do that. But I've learned, I don't want to say but, I have learned whatever I have to do, that is my thing to do. That something better isn't going to come along. When I commit to something, that is what I need to do. So I've learned to make a commitment and stick with it. And, this week I really wanted to talk to you about, I was thinking about this downstairs. There's so many things about my food addiction and how I'm starting to address that. And when I started to say I broke up with processed sugar. So the whole processed sugar thing was the start. But what really happened is this process for my food stuff started years ago. And what happened is I used to go to this nutrition response testing where, you guys, I've always been into Reiki, yoga, card readers, artsy, creative stuff that the rest of the world is finally catching up onto, thank God, which is spirituality. And but I used to go to this woman, and she would put certain herbs on your body and do this muscle response testing where she would like press your arm and see if your body was allergic to it or not, and no blood work, and she could tell what was wrong. And a lot of people think, oh my God, this is bullshit. But guess what? When you don't feel good for long enough, you'll try it and it works. So, anyway, the one day she was asking me about my food, and I told her, and she said, "You're still drinking to me." And I felt like somebody kicked me in the gut, because part of my alcohol addiction is alcohol is sugar. It's a sugar addiction. So, as I've been doing these videos and telling you guys what my process was like, is I had to start with my worst addiction. And my worst addiction when I was 18 was drugs and alcohol. So I had to go back. I had to get rid of that addiction. I don't want to say get rid of it. I had to address it. And as I was able to address it, guess what? The cigarettes were the next thing. I was addicted to cigarettes. And so that was my second addiction. And then my third addiction, I think, and I'll tell you this, and I swear to God, every single person in this world is an addict, whether you want to admit it or not. You are addicted to something. And really what is happening in this world is we're being taught that we have to go back and address our addictions. And I had to start with the worst one. And the worst one at the time, my first worst one, was the drugs and alcohol. Then it was the cigarettes. And then I had to address, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't smoking, I wasn't doing drugs anymore. And my life still wasn't, I was still making decisions out of fear. I was still doing things that weren't right. And so I had to go back and address my childhood. And all of this stuff is like, why would you want to go back and do this? Trust me, I did not want to do this. But if I wanted to be happy, if I wanted to be free, and if I wanted to have peace, I had to do this. And it is the hardest work I've ever done. And I told you guys that last week. And this is stuff that nobody else can do for me but me. But the food addiction now is my last addiction, but it was my first addiction. And it's the deepest, hardest one. And I want to tell you, I've been going to FAA, which is Food Addicts Anonymous, and I was telling you guys about it for the past couple of weeks. And, you know, I gave up processed sugar, but really I have to give up flour and wheat too, because these are all foods, the stuff like the sugar, the flour, and the wheat. What it does is it starts a phenomenon of craving. And you guys, I don't want to address this food stuff. I really don't. I would laugh about it. Aha, I'm addicted to sugar. Ha ha ha. And that's what I do. Whenever something is hard or uncomfortable, first I don't want to talk about it. Then if I do talk about it, I make fun of it. And then eventually it's like, oh my God, I really have to do this. And as I'm doing this video, I gave up the sugar first, but not the wheat or the flour, and I need to do that. So I'm telling you guys out loud, and I don't know how I'm going to do with it. Like, I need all the support I can get, and I know where to go for the support. But one of the reasons why I have to address the food thing, and my nose is running right now. I had cauliflower pizza crust, and there's got to be wheat in that, or something. But as soon as sugar hits my body, my nose starts to run, my ears itch to a point that even with a Q-tip, it's hard to scratch it. Usually after I wipe myself after I pee, I still leak. Like, these are all some of the side effects that I have instantly the minute that sugar, flour, and wheat hit my body. And honestly, if I could ignore this for longer, I'm telling you, I totally would. I ignore everything until I can't ignore it anymore. And I know everybody else does the same thing. So addressing this stuff is not easy, and I would rather not do it. but it doesn't matter. I'm being called by God to do this stuff. And I've always been on the younger side for everything. Like, I got sober when I was 18. And it's funny because a lot of people who are in recovery are like, I wish I got here sooner. And I'm like, I wish I got here later. Like, I didn't want to do this stuff at the age that I did. And I wished I could pretend for longer. But it's now really about going back and finding out how the fire got started. And for a long time, the only thing I could do is just put out the fire, put out the fire, put out the fire, put out the fire. And now I'm being called to go back and see how the fire began. And before, I would just put out the fire or expect somebody else to put out my fire, but I didn't want to go back and look. I wanted somebody else to do it, and nobody else can do it better than me. And I need to go back and look and address. And I'm now in the process of getting Medicare at 50 years old. Usually you're 65. I'm getting it at 50. So like everything, I went through menopause at 40. Like everything I've done was way ahead of schedule, which I felt was ahead of my schedule. But I know I'm being called to do this stuff. I don't like it, but I'm starting to accept it. And sometimes I even have fun with it. And I want to tell you this really quick, because this is my joy this week. Besides, I get to do my line dancing. Tomorrow night, our line dancing is going to go teach the Girl Scouts how to line dance. And they're going to get their Girl Scout dancing badge tomorrow night, which I'm so excited for. So like, I have moments of joy, moments of peace, and things that I get to do. And when I don't feel good because of food, I can't do this stuff. So this is your sign signing off. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys all next week.